Welcome to this moment. Welcome to our patterns. And why is it that when I see my patterns, they're a little bit embarrassing? Um, Particularly when a friend sort of like calls them out in a way. It's like, yeah, I wish you'd call that out with a little bit more compassion. But we need these friends, right? And starting with ourselves. Can we be the friend that calls out our patterns? Particularly, my pattern one is waking up in the middle of the night and just like, oh, what is this stuff that comes up in the middle of the night? These emergencies. um, or late, in the evening when I'm really, really tired. That part of me comes up that's kind of embarrassing that it's like, wow, somebody who does this, somebody, like this persona that we think of ourselves and we project onto the world um like it's like it's a good thing to fool people with our persona. We all see that in other people, right? We all see like, oh, well, that's what they want to project out into the world. And what are we projecting out to the world? Right? That's coming back to me. Um, and that's what sort of came up in the middle of the night. It's like, wow, I have these patterns. Squirrely could be a way of actually describing them. Because there is that sort of running around like if only I can do this fast enough that it will be okay. It will be all taken care of. So I'm looking at what am I feeling? What am I needing? Coming back, coming back. And then once I have that, it's often ease. I want ease. I want things to be normal. Like, so isn't this normal? Opening my body to this moment, to this illusion of what normal is. So compassion for our patterns and our habits, and in order to um, give ourselves compassion for them, we have to see that we don't necessarily have to stop them. Hopefully, we can see them when they're happening and name them as a pattern. Um, Often the pattern comes with a story. Do we have the habit of being a victim, a hero, or a perpetrator? The villain, let me give you a hint. Nobody, uh, uh, the villain is something that we is sometimes say, oh, well, I'm always bad. That's when we're sort of in our villain mode. I'm always bad. I'm always screwing up. I'm always not enough. Um, the victim is like they did all this horrible stuff to me, or they're doing this horrible stuff to me. They said this to me. Can you believe it? They did this. Can you believe it? And wanting people to sort of corroborate your story about how horrible this person is. That's the victim. And then the hero is somebody that swoops in and fixes it all. Hopefully, you'll see yourself in all of those patterns. And the practice today is compassion. Of course, you go into these patterns. It makes sense when I look at my history and what happened to me. When I look at my childhood, when I looked at patterns from my childhood that I I had it's usually strategy for safety, right? My parents taught me if only I could get things in order, I'll be safe, right? And then, of course, that I live with somebody whose strategy for safety is chaos. Like, let's just like, seriously. I know it's a judgment. And it's most important to me. Um, I need to confirm my speaking language. I am speaking English. There's another language that it came up. Are you sure you're speaking English? Boy, I love that. What is that a metaphor for? And why is it so hard when I'm in this squirrely mode of like running around, like bearing nuts, going up and down trees? I'm like, ah, what language am I speaking? I'm thinking that I'm speaking the language of my childhood, something that was taught to me that's not necessarily true. I notice the pattern, I notice it's coming up, and I can question whether that's true or not. And I can give myself compassion that, oh, I have this pattern. And, if we can learn it as a child, we can learn it as an adult. So consider reframing your pattern, reframing your response to your pattern. Stopping yourself from doing stuff is not always possible. And sometimes slowing down and noticing and giving ourselves a little bit of love for it is the best that we can do. So wherever we are in our perspective of the world, of how many people we can get to agree with us for our perspective, if we're looking for that validation. The validation I like to give myself is, of course you do this with your background. And is it really serving life the way you want to be served? Is it really how you want to show up in the world? Is it really the most important thing to you? Is it really the best way to meet my needs? Is a question to ask yourself when you're feeling these emotions and when we're particularly making it about other people. God knows I do that. I'm not happy about it, and I'm not going to beat myself up for it because it makes sense that I do that. I was taught that that's what you do. So it makes sense. And again, if we're taught something, if we learn something, we can learn something else. So it may always be maybe go from a trigger to like a speed bump or a ripple. Um, and working with it is really the most precious thing that I can do with my life. Working with this life energy that I have, and then offering that to my beloveds. They seem to end up working with similar things because they're hanging around with me. And I hope they benefit. I hope their life benefits. I hope that people that I do get involved in like this, um, and this locked in thing that seems so important, that I can ease up and I can wish them that they will have some perspective in their life. They can work with their life energy in a way that's helpful. So wishing this blessing for people that I struggle with, we struggle with. And isn't this the source of all wars? Isn't this a gift to be able to work with this? Isn't that why we kill each other? Keep coming back. And it's not about getting yourself together before you can step out into the world and help others work with what's stirring them up. It's a matter of breathing in compassion for ourselves, breathing out compassion for the world. It's not one or the other. We're interconnected for sure. Thank you for joining us.